In today's world of big swim baits, there are hundreds and hundreds of different glide baits now being made and probably being made day by day from new bait makers. And when I first started getting into big swim baits well over a decade ago, there was maybe 20 to 25 legit options for us guys to pick up a glide bait. It just wasn't that popular. There was many other baits out there on the market that were doing just fine to catch fish. But in recent times, with the big trend and big push in big swim baits, glide baits have become this huge thing that not just the swim bait guys are fishing, but just regular guys and as well as tournament guys who are now utilizing forward facing sonar to basically cast out a glide bait, sink it down, and catch fish that were extremely hard to catch before. And so there's been this huge push on glide baits in recent years, and it seems like the trend is only getting more and more popular as it goes on. But I get the question a lot, like, hey Jeff, what is the best glide bait money can buy? I'm trying to get a really good one. What's a glide bait that you recommend? And there's normally always just one option, and that is the legendary Deps Slide Swimmer 250. Let's jam.
Oh, that was so sick. Oh, crap, look at that fish.
Now, a little history about the Deps Slide Swimmer. It is made by a company called Deps, and it's a Japanese company located on basically the shores of Lake Biwa, and they made this lure in 2002. The original ones were made in 2002, well over 20 years ago. But the problem was that they didn't become popular in 2002 or 2005 or 6 or 7. It only got popular until a guy that you guys might know, his name was Butch Brown. He ended up picking up some of these baits to fish some of his local waters, and he found out pretty quickly that this bait would just catch giant bass. But he held onto the footage for quite a long time, and he never really posted anything. But around 2011, 2012, he started posting videos, cast catches, and photos of just absolute giant bass on this bait. And it was just a mad scramble for basically all the guys in Southern California to try and find these baits. And guys were trying to get them from eBay and other places that you can get Japanese swim baits from. But the guys that were able to get their hands on the 250, they saw stuff that we might never ever see again, where just giant bass, I'm talking double digit teener class fish, they were just coming absolutely unglued for this specific bait. And the reason why it was like that was the glide baits at the time that I'd mentioned that were being made, none of them had the drawing power or the swim or look that the Deps 250 had. And the fish just absolutely came unglued for this bait. It was at a time where it almost seemed like every day somebody in Southern California was catching a double digit on the slide swimmer. It was an incredible time to see, and it trickled from Southern California to like NorCal, and then it started heading east. The guys in Arizona were picking up this bait and catching giants. The guys in Texas are catching giants on it. Florida, and even in the Northeast, guys were picking up this bait and kept catching absolute giant bass. And it just became like, oh my God, this lure is unbelievable and nothing is outfishing this bait right now. Some of my earliest experiences with this bait, when I was first able to get it from a buddy who had actually picked up 2 of them, is we were just fishing in urban pond that, you know, I knew that there was that class of fish, like 4 to 6 pounders in it, but I could never really get them to commit to a bait, and I'd seen some even bigger fish in there. I believe one of the within the first year of fishing this bait, my buddy that I was fishing with at the time, he caught a 9-pounder out of this small urban spot on a Deps 250. And that fish, I remember just watching this fish just be absolutely entranced by this bait. I had never seen a fish that big just follow it all the way to our feet and then just try and eat it. Like, you could have that thing swimming all funky and whatever. The fish just wanted to eat it. It was behavior that I'd never seen from a fish ever. And that was due to basically, at the time, the power of the 250. It was just something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Now, there are 2 versions that were made and are made. And one, you have the original slide swimmer, and it is a foam body lure. Then you have the newer style that kind of came out in like 2014, 2015. And this is an ABS plastic injection mold version of the same bait. They kind of have basically the same characteristics, just one's made out of ABS and one of them is made out of this foam material. Now, I have fished both versions. I always prefer the original model, but the new ones, they're easy to get. They're pretty cheap to get as well if you can find them on, you know, eBay or a Japanese buy. They're pretty cheap to get, and so I always recommend guys going just to buying like a new version to start with. The original models still go for a pretty high price just because I think that the original foam body is the best version. And today I'm kind of gonna go over why I think this is the best glide bait. This one right here, the original Deps Slide Swimmer, is the best glide bait on the market. With the original Deps 250 Slide Swimmer, it has this foam body, so the durability on it is absolutely incredible. Now with the ABS baits, not just obviously Deps, but some of the other companies that make ABS baits, one of the biggest problems is the bait's cracking if you hit it along a dock, a tree, or a rock. That would never happen with a foam bait. The bait's durability is absolutely incredible. Now, you have to keep this in mind that this bait was originally made in 2002, 20 years ago, and some of the features on this bait still just absolutely hold up to today and still blow out a lot of the other baits out on the market. One of the big things that you'll notice is that there's this outer shell that's a soft plastic shell. The soft plastic shell does a couple different things. Now, the shell, for one, it protects this beautiful foil paint scheme here, so you don't really see any hook rashes, and so the durability of the paint lasts really good. But a big thing back here is when you glide the bait, this little flap here is supposed to be there. That little flap acts as kind of like a silencer, so when you glide the bait, it's not hitting foam against foam, and it's a pretty silent bait. Now, a huge thing that you can do with this bait is you can tune it unlike a lot of other baits that you can on the market, especially with the ABS one. So one of the ways that I like tuning the bait is these hinges here on the middle. You can actually twist them in or twist them out depending on how you want the bait to swim. If you tighten them down, there's going to be less room here in the joint, and you're going to get more of that S style motion or just a wider glide on a pause. If you back out the screws, you're going to have much more room, and it's going to be more of a 90-degree angle, and you're going to get more of like a side to side, a walk the dog action to it. So that's really awesome. I found like a little sweet spot for my own that I really liked, where I can get the bait to be a nice S, but I can also get it to kind of go side to side and flash. I think it looks the best that way. Now, the other way that you can tune this bait is actually the sink rate, which is a huge one for me. I'm really big on tuning my baits to fish exactly how I want them to. For a lot of baits, sometimes I just can't change the tuning because of the bait being ABS and the trouble of, well, I've got to drill through the ABS to drill out weight. After I do that, I've got to fill back the hole, and sometimes that just doesn't work out. So there's ways to do it, but it's much more of a pain in the ass. For this, you can take off this front skin part, and it has 2 slots down here on the bottom that you can add or take away weight. If you want it to be a super suspend or a fast sink, you can add weight. And there's different options out there. You can use what I use, like tungsten putty, or you can hit up Butch Brown. Butch Brown's a really nice guy. He'll actually send you some different weights and different sizes so you can have a bait sink faster or slower. So the tuning capabilities of this bait is unbelievable, and it really makes it a huge game changer for me in my books.
Now, I know you're probably wondering, well, Jeff, how do these things swim? So first, I'm going to show you guys the swim of the new style slide swimmer here. And the swim on both of the baits, the OG and the new style, they're both pretty good, but a tendency with the new style baits is that they like to nose up a little bit after you do a glide. They kind of nose up a little bit. It's been kind of the biggest gripe with the new style of 250s, where I don't know exactly what it is, but they nose up just a little bit, which you can fix that with adding more weight to the front, or maybe add some heavier line. Like right now I'm fishing this on 16 pound, which isn't the recommended, but I've noticed that if I fish 20 pound fluorocarbon or 25 pound fluorocarbon, it doesn't nose up as much. So it can be a wide variety of different reasons, but overall this bait swims really good. I've got mine obviously tuned to be a slower sink, and with that slower sink I'm able to get that bait to really shoot side to side. Okay, so now we have the original Deps 250 here. This one, which you guys will notice, is that it really doesn't have that nose up action. It stays pretty level. And I truly think that this thing swims just incredibly well. It flashes side to side really well. And even on a straight retrieve, the bait looks really good. This is actually the way that Butch Brown used to fish his 250s, was just on a nice steady retrieve, and every once in a while he would give it like a little speed up, and the fish would bite it off of that. So multiple different ways that you can fish this bait, whether it be on a straight retrieve or you're giving it hard side to side actions. You can even fish it slow, where you let it glide and hang, let it glide and hang, let it glide and hang, and the fish just absolutely crush this bait. And I fished it a wide variety of different ways. The best way for me, and the way that I fish the 250, which is pretty close to cover, is that hard side to side action. I know Butch Brown and other guys, they fish their stuff more out in open water, where that straight retrieve would get those fish to follow the bait, and then once you did that little speed up, those fish would actually come and commit to the bait.
So that is the Deps Slide Swimmer 250. I truly believe it is the greatest glide bait ever made. It's been around for so long, and truly nothing has ever come to the magic that was this bait when it first kind of got popular here in the States. There is quite a few other features that I really dig on this bait. Like,
There's this little pinhole here in the back that actually allows water to fill up this back section, so it just weights the bait a lot better. It's just the small details that truly make this bait just timeless. It's a classic. I mean, even the colors, like this is a butch brown bass color. Like this color is super sick, and you guys saw, you know, some of the other colors as well. Like this is a biwa masu. Like the colors, the foils, all that from a bait that was made over 20 years ago still is just absolutely timeless. So if you guys have tried the Deps Slide Swimmer 250, let me know how your guys' experience has gone. If you guys have a glide bait that you think is better than that one, leave a comment down below. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, please go out there and chase your dreams.